Hey guys, this is another Audio Guts review by me, Patrick Chandler from Robot Underground. This is the Power Acoustik PS2-1600. They made many of these amplifiers in the early 2000s. This one I think is from 2000, and it's a big 2-channel. So there's the front, rated at 1600 watts, probably does about 800 RMS. Picked it up for $30. It was missing all the screws, so I just put some in there so I could test it. If I remember right, this is actually fused for triple 25s, so 75 amp fuse would be more in line with the 800 watt. I don't want to say rating, but performance, and it probably does a little bit more than that, probably like 850 or something like that. But the heatsink is mostly hollow, but it is quite large. It's marketed towards the budget focused consumer, which is typically poor people, and then of course which is typically minorities, and that's one of the reasons why they put the numbers real big on there, which I think is kind of annoying. And then they put a lot of keywords on there like MOSFET, bridgeable, crossover, all that kind of stuff, bass boost, 2-ohm stable, and all that kind of stuff. And then they use the chrome finish piece on here. I'm not a fan of that. I wish amplifier companies would be more confident, but you know what, it sells, and Epsilon does really good numbers every month. Like I think 50 million a month. They do some really incredible numbers. I would love to see their numbers. I picked this up for $30. I'll probably sell it for 100 this weekend. I wanted to get it cleaned up and ready to go. I did notice a problem on the gain pot, which I went ahead and lubed up with some WD-40 on the sealed type of pots, which are more square. I don't know if I have any here. Oh, here's one. So this type, I don't know if you can see it. This type is a more sealed type, and it's typically regarded as a higher quality, even though it does the same job. These are a little harder to get into. Bernie Boland did tell me one time to drill on the top of these if you have to lube them up. To drill with a shop vac so that no filings get inside the pot, of course, and then lube it up with some WD-40, or again, it depends on what you're doing. I tell you what, that's a lot easier though than pulling off all the hardware, pulling up the board, flipping it over, and then desoldering that, and then changing it out. So it just depends on how much time you have. What do you want to do? So, but for many years, Bernie Boland did the rework or repair work. I think it was called Sun Valley Audio Repair, Sun Valley Electronics Repair, something like that. Up in, I forget where, but anyways, he was doing a lot of work for Orion after he had sold his portion out and moved on. Anyways, this one uses a six bank, which is pretty typical layout. Everything is pretty typical. The transformers are a little small, but you can probably ride them a little hard at about 450 watts each. The devices, I pulled off the thing. It's a 50N06, which there's many prefixes to that, depending on your maker, which chip maker. But 50N06 just means it's a 50 amp in type of MOSFET. There's P and there's N as in November. So it's a 50N06 50 amp device, and there's 6 of them. So they have the capability of doing 50 amps times 6, and of course times 12. That's quite a bit of current. So, but typical on this one, as an engineer and a designer, you usually want to build for about 50%. What's it called? It's not called workload, but I forget what it's called, where like the device can do 100 watts, but you don't make it do 100 watts, you make it do like 50 watts or 60 watts. So, and this amplifier is pretty in line with doing a 60% duty cycle, I think, or something like that. On the outputs, it uses the TIP3536 combo, and so you'll have, if I remember right, it's a pair, 35, 36, yeah. So you'll have a pair. It's a bipolar complementary pair. You can look up the chip device. I'll put a link in the description for the chip device so you can study the chips on both of these. and look at the parameters and just study, what the output device can do. So it's a pair, and then that's for one channel, and then pair. And then the transformers are basically, this might be a dual mono section, but you can definitely bridge it. So it's a balanced tie load. It was repaired by Garcia's Electronics for Kevin back in 2013. Oh, that was a good one. The clamp down bars are a little old-fashioned. They don't do this anymore. They just use little tiny ones now, mostly because of it's more efficient in manufacturing to do little ones. But it looks like Garcia's repaired the input diode, which happens when somebody wires it up backwards. It'll pop this diode, hopefully. That way it's a cheap fix. Otherwise, if it takes out some of the amplifier board, then you're kind of fucked. So, but I just wanted to show this for you guys. Again, this is a very basic design. It's very popular. It's very proven. If you don't know, Epsilon is the parent company for PPI and Soundstream, as well as Power Acoustik. They used to also sell Cole, K-O-L-E, and SPL USA. So, but I think they shelved both those brands, I think, because of internet, what is the word? They could not get organic search results with those two brands, because when you type in Cole, or somebody doesn't know how to spell Cole, again, they spelled it K-O-L-E. Typically, if you especially if you're using speech to text, it'll come up for Kohl's department stores or Kohl's faucets, in plumbing works. So that might have been one of the reasons why they shelved it. Also, a lot of the products they were building for those two brands were just duplicates of the Power Acoustik brand. And I think they kind of phased them out as they bought the two premium brands, which was PPI and Soundstream. So again, this was years ago. This was like in the 2000s. And, Power Acoustik at the time was their main moneymaker. And I loved these amps. I love the look out of them. We used to debadge them on the, I think it was called the 3000 dB, which I think they still use on some of their Soundstream brands. But it's got two big transformers, and it's pretty badass. But anyways, I'll post a picture of that. I used that picture in the a post I did recently, the YouTube post. Which is not a video, it's just sort of like a post, for information or a link to something or whatever. But I'll repost that so you guys can see how much of a poser I was. Because I still don't have any money. But what I would do is I'd buy these from a local, wholesaler, DBL, electronics up there in Scottsdale. And then I would debadge these guys, and then I went to a key shop and had some custom engraving, and I did one for a buddy of mine who I knew through somebody else that I met from the auction of Orion, and he ran it for a really long time before he finally fried it. But it was a really good amp. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these amps, and one of the advantages of going with a company like Epsilon is that they're able to test multiple lines from multiple factories to see the results. And then if that design is good, sometimes they'll just repackage it. So it'll be the same board, but they'll put a new heatsink on it or a different cosmetic. Now, if you're saying, well, hey, that's not right, or they're tricking me or whatever. Yeah, you are correct. And it was done by Orion and Rockford for many, many years. You remember the Orion XTR 1200? It was reintroduced, I think 2 years later, as the XTR 1400. Same exact board, also built by Chung Lam, not built in-house. And then it was heat synced up here in Tempe. So there you go. I think it's funny how the way you guys worship old brands. If the old brand did it in a way that you cannot do it today, it would still be done. It would just be done by Chinese people or Indian people or Africans. So the reason why those things are old and nobody makes them anymore is because they're not actually as great as you think they are. So, but Anyways, I love Epsilon, and I love the values that they bring me. And for about 2 years there, I was able to debadge about maybe 10 or 12 of these and make a good money off of them. You guys can do the same thing. I hope Recoil changes their mind and helps me import some of these. If not, what I'll do is I'll just import it myself, and then you guys can rebadge and do that kind of stuff. So, but that was it. Again, this is the Acoustik PS2-1600, and I love you guys. Talk to you later.